Okay, so we're going to talk about the change of base property here. This is our last property that I'm going to call logarithmic properties. But then we're going to talk about two more ideas, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the change of base says if you have log base b of m, you can change the base on your logarithm. So say you have a base 2, and you don't want a base 2 because you want to put something in the calculator. And your calculator, generally our scientific calculators, they only have two logarithm bases, e and 10. So common logs and natural logs. But that's because we have the change of base property. So it says that if you have this situation where you have log base b of m, then you can rewrite it as log, you can have any base you want, of m over log base n of b. Now you can put the parentheses in. I think that might help you see it a little better, see what the argument is. So basically we're saying if you have a logarithm that has some base and you don't like that base, you can change that base to any base you want with the change of base property. Okay? Now usually for calculators, a lot of times we want to get a decimal approximation. We either use common log or natural log. A lot of textbooks will use the natural log because we use that for certain things, and it's a little less typing, ln as opposed to log. So a lot of times they will use the natural log, but common log's okay. But if you were stranded on an island and all you had was a logarithm table in base 5, you could change it into base 5 and use that table. Okay, so I'm thinking if you're stranded on an island and all you have is a logarithm table, you've probably got more problems than we're thinking. But anyway, so two more concepts. And we've alluded to these, but one is if you have a base to some, exponent, and it equals the same base to an exponent, then if and only if x equals y, okay? And that's assuming, these concepts are assuming that the base is greater than 0, okay? All right, so, and that the base doesn't equal 1. Okay, then x equals y. And similarly, if you have log base b of m equaling log base b of n, then if and only if m equals n. Okay? So actually I should replace my thens with if and only if. I think we talked about that notation, IFF, if and only if. It just means you can go both ways. So these two ideas are really helpful for us, but not so much in this section, later on in another section when we do equations. But it just says, if you've got a logarithm and the two logarithms are equal and the bases are the same, well, then the arguments have to be the same. Okay, so those are those concepts. But now we're going to talk, let me give you a little example of change of base. So let's say you have log base 5 of 7, and you need to figure out a decimal approximation. Then you're going to change that to, now if I do it with a natural log, it would look like natural log 7 divided by natural log 5. Or if you want to do a common log, you could do common log of 7 over common log of 5. You have to keep the base the same, like you can't mix and match, but it's got to be all natural log or all log. Now, when you put this in the calculator, sometimes students get this wrong. So if I go with natural log, I put natural log, there's a parenthesis, and I put 7, right? You have to close that parenthesis, don't forget, because otherwise it's not going to do the calculation right. Then divided by natural log 5. So that's just, I wanted to caution you on that. And I'm getting like approximately 1.2091. I'll just go to 4 decimal places, so it does round up. So that's what I get. Now, if you were to use common log, you should get the same thing. but we'll just show you for sure that that works. Again, you have to be careful with the parentheses. These scientific calculators, it's all about where the parentheses are. And yeah, it's the same, but I just wanted to do it on my calculator while you're doing it on your calculator. So you'll have to find your log button and your natural log button for these. You don't have to do it twice. You pick either natural log or common log. It kind of just depends on what you're doing. For our purposes, I think I'll probably stick with natural log unless they specifically say, hey, we want you to do it with a common log.